Hey guys, so when in doubt with technology, go out and buy a new piece of equipment. So I've been having those issues with my using my Note 4 in order to do these vlogging videos. Basically at the 46-minute mark it'll cut out because you can only have 2 gig file size maximum on the SD card. So I was looking around and then I went to Best Buy and found this nice little video camera. So I got a nice little Sony camera here, like their least expensive one. It's actually like a $199 one. It does 1080p video, plus it records like for a long time. And not only that, but what's really nice now is since I'm actually using a real video camera, I can do fancy things. Like we can turn around like this, and then I can zoom in. Oh yeah, isn't that? Look at that, that's pretty good too. That's pretty stable. So I can say, hey, look, it's a pagoda thing. I'm not really sure why you would care about looking at a pagoda thing, but I don't know. Maybe if I saw a deer, maybe if I saw something special. I was actually thinking, like, using a video camera like this, it might be cooler to go out and basically look at some different scenery. So since I'm walking and talking anyway, might as well go out to different trails and show you guys cool things. You know, go out, go into the mountains or go by the water or whatever. And so we can stroll and we can talk and all that. We'll see how it goes. There's a couple of good things with this particular camera that I like, especially for vlogging. The big thing, and something to think about if you guys want to do a video, buy a video camera for vlogging, is the tripod mount for this camera. I can't show it to you here, but the tripod mount for this camera is actually like right below the lens. So with a lot of these cameras, the problem is the tripod mount is too far back, and when it's too far back, then it's too close to you and it looks really bad. So the nice part here, since the tripod mount is right under the lens, it pushes the camera back and it gives you like another 6 inches. And so that's a nice thing. And then also for things like audio, what's good with this is that the microphone is actually on the front. So the camera lens is here, and then right under it is the microphones. And that's nice, that's a good thing. Because before with the Note 4, the problem is that the microphone is on the side. So especially when it gets windy, I can't necessarily point into the wind because it's still on the microphone's still on the side, so you still all get all that wind noise. So what's nice with this is if I point myself into the wind, then the wind is coming over me and it should protect that microphone a little bit better. And the other nice thing is since this is a real camera, it actually has noise or wind noise reduction. So that should be pretty good. So overall, I got this nice little camera, and I think this will be good for the little vlogs. The other thing that I like about having a camera like this is that I don't have to worry about the battery being down. So the problem is using my own smartphone is, you know, some days I use my smartphone. So what happens if I've been using my smartphone all day, my Note 4 all day, and then I want to vlog, and the battery's down to 20%? Then I have to wait for it to recharge, blah, blah, blah. The nice thing with using this is I just keep this charged all day, and then when I need it, I need it. So, you know, we can do some of these nice panoramic shots here. So this is the backyard that I've been talking about. Oh yeah, this is my 2 acres of swampland right here. Again, I will warn you in life, when you are buying a property and it says so many acres, make sure you know what those acres look like. Because this is 2 acres of prime swampland right here. Again, the good part is nobody can develop back here, but the bad part is I also can't build a garage or anything else. This is my nice little bridge I've been going over. So every time you hear me and I'm about to like trip over something, I'm going over this bridge. This is the particular bridge. I'm really liking this video camera right now. I don't know how the audio is doing. Like when I switch it around, I don't know how well you guys can hear me, but overall, so far, I really do like this camera. This is nice. I like having a real camera for vlogging. It's a good thing. Like I said, I can show you guys all this cool stuff, and we can have a conversation. You know, yeah, when in doubt, go out and see if there are other products out there that'll be useful for you. And the other thing I like about this too is it's now recording in 1080p even. So you get to see my face up close in true high definition. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not, Not sure that's a good thing or not, but it is the case. So as far as the weight loss and all that goes, still at about the 202 mark. Still about the 202 mark. So I've lost about 5 or so pounds. Oh no, 7. Yeah, 202. About 5 pounds since the beginning of this thing. The beginning of the geek diet. Kind of stabilized. I think the reason I stabilized though is I've been exercising and dieting at the same time, or well, exercising and watching my food or whatever, you know, trying to lose weight. And I think one of the issues is that I've been eating a lot of whole foods, like, you know, grains, rice, wild rice, quinoa, farro. Oh my golly, if you guys have not had farro is some awesome grain. Get some farro with blueberries and walnuts. Oh, that was a magnificent dinner. But anyways, been eating all that kind of stuff. And since I've been kind of so hungry and been working out so much, like I haven't really paid attention. Because again, I'm not eating pizzas, I'm not drinking beer. So you think, oh, I'm eating whole foods. I can eat whatever the hell I want. And I think I've been overdoing it a bit. Because you just don't think about it, you know, not a lot of fat, not a lot of salt, any of that in there. And so you just shovel it on the plate, really without paying attention. And so I think I need to do a little bit more of portion control, just because, yeah. Again, I don't know why everybody thinks all these foods somehow can't give you enough calories or whatever. That's one of the problems that I see with a lot of people when they go like vegetarian or vegan in the United States, is they think you have to eat like 2,000 calories of lettuce, which ain't gonna happen. And like if you go over and you go to countries that actually are at least vegetarian, what you notice is they don't eat the same kind of foods that most of the vegetarians here think we eat. Like you go to India, and I mean it's rice, it's lentils, it's a lot of fat to be honest with you. Potatoes, that kind of stuff. And it really does fill you up, it sticks to your bones. So one of the quirks, one of the problems you can get into is you start eating healthier. And the issue is just because you're eating healthier, which is probably better for your system, all in all, it doesn't mean you're necessarily gonna lose weight. Because, you know, still calories in there. Not as quote-unquote bad calories, I suppose, but it's still calories. So anyways, I think this week I'm gonna start doing a little bit more portion control. I'm gonna be careful though. Not gonna starve myself. Not gonna starve myself. It's not like instead of, you know, giving myself a whole bowl of something, I'm gonna give myself half a bowl. It's more like measuring it out. And again, I'm trying to stay the hell away from things like numbers. I'm trying to stay the hell away from things like measurements, because as soon as you start bringing numbers and measurements into this mess, everybody just goes batshit crazy as far as like health and dieting and all that is concerned. And so again, basically my thing, and I've lost weight before, I mean, this is just, is reduce calories, increase exercise, you know, eat better. Again, I'm not telling you guys what better is. I am talking to you guys about veganism simply because my wife happens to be vegan. And for anybody out there who's married, y'all know what that means, right? So again, even with that, to be clear, I'm not a proponent even, I mean, I'm not like an evangelist for that even, it just happens to be my life. And so that's what I'm looking at now. As I've looked at it, like I say, dropped the weight to begin with, feeling pretty good with the exercise and all that kind of stuff. Hit this little plateau mark, and you're like, okay, well, why is that? And one of the things that I've noticed is, like I say, I just heat my plates with food because you think it's all healthy. Which I mean, healthy is a, yeah, you know what I'm saying. And so all it is like, okay, so I'll do a little bit more portion control. It's not that I will restrict. Zero interest in restricting. Restricting is what gets you hurt. Not restricting, more like, okay, I'll put this amount of food on my plate and I will eat it. And if I am satisfied, then I will stop eating. And if I'm still hungry, then I'll eat some more. But here's that thing, it's that pause. Right, remember when we were all kids, or some of us were kids back in the 80s? Remember when you used to go back and you get like second helpings or third helpings? I feel like that's something that's gotten kind of lost in our society. It's like the idea is like you get the initial meal and then whoever needed seconds or even thirds would go back for it. But there's that kind of thing where you gotta think about it. Like if you're going back for seconds, you just gotta think about it for a second. Do I really wanna go back for seconds? Yeah or no, right? And especially if you're going back for thirds, you know, ooh, I'm going back for thirds, right? But think of it, and like just that extra second to think about it. And again, I'm not telling you what the decision has to be. Just like, right? And a lot of times you'll be like, you know what? Yeah, I don't really need anything, actually. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, right? And so that's what I'm thinking with the whole portion control idea. Basically, bring it down, get it more into manageable portions. And then, like I say, if I need more, I eat more. And if I don't need more, I don't eat more, and go from there. As far as exercising is all that's concerned, I feel very good. Yesterday we went out and we did the spinning. So I did the spinning class for an hour. Felt good for it. Lots of sweat, lots of sweat. I tell you guys, any of you guys want good cardio, spinning is a beast. And I really like spinning again, because I used to run. And again, I had this idea I was gonna do marathons at one point. It just takes too long. And again, I got up to like 13 plus miles running. But one of the issues that you find with running is it's kind of like with running. I mean, it's really hard no matter what you do. I mean, like you warm up into it and you get into it. But it's kind of like, you know, there's not a lot of gears with running. You know, you're either sweating or you're not sweating. The one nice thing that I do like with doing the spinning is, again, you can set your own gears there. So there's gears 1 through 24. So 1 is the easiest, 24 is the hardest. And so as you're going through the class, all you have to do is not leave. Again, you can't fail at spinning, you can give up. So as long as you don't give up, all you do is you use the gears and set your gears wherever you currently can deal with. And that's really kind of nice, right? So if you go in there and you're really pumped and you're energized and you feel really good, you know, blast out. You can be on like gear 17 the entire damn time. You go in there and you feel really lazy and weak, you go in there and you're on gear 4 the entire time. And again, you know, there's a lot of exercise. You're just going out there and just kind of doing it. So that's what's nice with the spinning. And the other thing that I like with the spinning is, like, sometimes I'll push myself too hard. Like, you know, you get that song in your head where somebody's pushing you, and so you really put out a burst of energy that you probably shouldn't put out. Right? You're like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And then like 30 seconds later, you're just blasted. You're just like, ah, right? Again, that's a nice part with the spinning, is like when you're running, it can be very difficult if you do that. With the spinning, again, you just notch down a couple of gears, you know, regain your breath, figure out where you're at, and then get back into the routine. So overall, I really like the spinning. As far as exercise and all that's concerned, so last week, I'm happy to say, I did 5 out of 7 days. So the final plan will be 6 out of 7 days for exercising. So basically 3 strength days, 3 cardio days. Last week, I did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I did strength, cardio, strength. And then on Thursday, I just, you know, again, there's that point where you don't want to do damage to yourself. Again, there's one thing about going in and being tired. Like, there's a tired, and then there's something that's different than tired, but weak. There's tired and weak, I would say, probably is a good differentiator. So when you're tired, well, screw it. Throw some cold water in your face and go. When you start to feel weak, when you just start to feel like that point when your muscles really can't do it, it's not really motivation. It's not motivation, it's more of a question of whether you can. That's when I would argue you should take a day off. So that's what I did with that. So Thursday, I took a day off of cardio, then went back in and did strength on Friday, then I say an hour of spinning on Saturday. And really, honestly, with exercise too, I'm doing that, plus I'm doing these 3-mile walks every day. So overall doing a good thing. It's kind of funny, my wife and I were talking about that today. We went out hiking for like 3 or 4 miles, and we were laughing about the fact that this is our down day. It's like my down day. Hiked 3 or 4 miles with her, and now I'm going to be here hiking like 2.5 miles with you guys. But, you know, that's the thing though, you get into the pattern. It's really normal for me to go out here now and do these little walks and talk into the camera, and it's just one of those things. There's that Pavlovian thing. It's like, oops, it's 4 o'clock. I got to go out and walk. If you can get that in your head, that's a good deal. So yeah, there we go. Been trucking along. Let's see here. So what I was going to be talking about today is pragmatism. Because this seems like something that has somehow gotten very lost in the world. Very, very, very lost. So this comes up again whenever I talk to you guys about anything. I always try to make it topical. And this is a continuation of this whole crap with this whole WTFU, YouTube, where's the fair use? And I've continued to get more and more crap on the video I did about it, where I said, basically that I didn't support where's the fair use. And I do have to say, like a week and a half after I've done the video, the more research I have done, I am actually stronger in my original opinion than I was. It's supposed to be those things, like everybody's like complaining, they're like, you don't understand what you're talking about, you don't understand the situation, you don't understand. And again, there's a difference between ego and arrogance. Ego means, I think I'm cool. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, you're like, yep, that's Eli, right? Arrogance is basically when you think you are better than other people and you don't listen to other people. So with all this stuff, I've gone back and I've looked at a lot of things. I've watched a lot of Doug Walker, whatever the hell their thing is. I've watched a lot of other channels. I've looked at more copyright law. I've looked at a lot of things, and basically, again, like I say, at the end of the day, I'm more confident in what I said in that video than honestly when I began. But an interesting thing that's come up with that video, with everybody going back crap about it, is a lot of people have been saying like how wrong I am to have done that video. So basically in that video I said I don't support where's the fair use, mainly because there's way too much of other people's intellectual property that's being used, and it's not being used properly. Therefore, I would argue, one, that YouTube just needs to fix its algorithms so that they function better. But then two, the real solution is that everybody stops using so much of everybody else's intellectual property. And so with this, a lot of people have lost their damn minds. Lost their minds, right? And they talk about all these different things. But one of the interesting points that everybody kind of brings up, or a lot of people have brought up, is this whole idea of needing to fight the fight, right? But Eli, you're just giving up. You're just saying that we should all give up and we need to be able to fight this battle, right? Fair use is a huge thing. This is something that we need, and we need to go out there and we need to win. One of the curious points is that so many people have missed the concept that my channel, and basically everything that I do, is created more about a pragmatic frame of mind and more on the idea of pragmatism. Again, you will rarely hear me talk about morals or ethics or rights or wrongs or any of that kind of crap, because I honestly don't really believe it matters. Now I know a lot of you guys be, oh my God, you don't have morals. It's like, no, it's not that I don't have morals. It's that from what I've seen, traveling the world, talking to every different kind of person, is that basically when people are comfortable in their position in the world, when they have hope for the future, when they believe that their children are secure, all of these things, morals and ethics and all that kind of stuff basically just fall in line. Everybody that has them, people who have mortgages are a hell of a lot less revolutionary than people that don't have mortgages. Just kind of the way it is. Again, the people that are married are more relaxed, more whatever, than the people that aren't married. It's as you become more invested in society, people just kind of mellow out. It was interesting way back when. I backpacked through Turkey, all right, so I spent a couple of weeks backpacking through Turkey. And so Turkey is a Muslim country, and this was, I don't know, when the hell was this, 2004? But anyway, so I was backpacking through Turkey, and I was talking to this one shop owner, and it was interesting, because like every day at certain hours, the mosques, the loudspeakers would go off and you hear blah, 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 blah. And that's not an insult, it's just what it sounded like to me, blah, right? So basically they were doing their call to the Muslim things, Muslims were doing their call to prayers, and it would just echo like everywhere. A lot like church bells used to echo a lot more in US cities, even not that long ago. And so, you hear that every day. So I was sitting there talking to a shop owner at one point, and so I'm sitting there, I'm drinking my little coffee. The call to worship goes off, and then he's just kind of sitting there smoking a cigarette, staring off in the distance. And so we start talking, and it's like, I thought Turkey was a Muslim country. And he's like, oh yeah, it is, yeah, we're all Muslims, yeah, we're Muslims. I was like, well, isn't that what we just heard, a call to prayer? Yeah. Let's call a prayer. Yeah, let's call a prayer. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, isn't like the call to prayer? I thought I'd see more of you guys praying. Aren't you guys all supposed to, Muslims? Isn't that how you practice? It's like, well. He's like, and he looks, takes a drag, a cigarette, and he goes, well. United States, you're Christian country, right? It's like, yeah, we're a Christian country. It's like, oh, yeah. Oh, so does everybody go to church on Sunday? And I was like, no, really, they don't. He's like, exactly. Oh, we a Muslim country. Yeah, right? And there is that thing, I mean, Spaghetti Monster, help me if the current Turkish government hears me say that. But there is that thing where it's like, Turkey is an industrialized, modern country, and that although, yes, they are Muslim, and they have, all of these strictures that they're, Muslims are supposed to go by, at the end of the day, they really like to make their profit and buy their big screen TVs and do things the way basically everybody else in the world does, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just how it is. Countries that have good economies, I don't care what religions they have, I don't care what nationality stuff they have. Basically, we all start acting the same after a little while. Ooh, this is a pretty shot here. Let me give you this nice pretty shot here. So this is the trail that I'm hiking down, right? Anyways, this is Soldier's Delight Park if you're in the Maryland area. Anyways, so basically, again, like I say, when my things with like morals and ethics and all that, people think it's like from a dark heart or somehow I've lost hope for the world or any of that kind of thing. I need to give my heart to the Spaghetti Monster. And it's really not. It's just what I've seen is when people are comfortable, when people are relaxed, when people feel safe and secure and everything else, they just become generally less assholes. Really is true. You don't need a God to say it. You don't need all these other things to say it. You just need to, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Comfort fixes a lot of stuff. But anyways, oh, that's another nice shot. Look at that. Oh my God, isn't that nice? You got the little sun up there, got the clouds. See, this is what I am looking at when I'm hiking with you guys. Beautiful here. Very nice place. The weather was warmer. The wife keeps complaining that it's not warm enough around here. She keeps threatening to move down to Florida. I'm like, I really like around here. Because, around here, the worst thing, when you have varmints, when you have annoying creatures, it's things like deer and squirrels and mice. Down to Florida, it's alligators. I don't like pests that see you as food. Anyways, that's Florida. But anyways, okay, so we go back. I'm about the whole pragmatic thing. So, what I have found in life is, again, the more comfortable whatever people feel. And so what I found is in order to get there, basically pragmatism really rules the day. There's these ways that we think the world should be, these ways the world could be, and then there's a way that the world actually is. And if you function within the way that the world actually is, it's actually not such a bad thing, right? We've got all these rules and we've got all this stuff, and so you figure out how to go through it. And so it's really interesting with this whole issue with like fair use thing, where the video I did was basically very pragmatic. Where I was talking about the whole idea of fair use, the whole issue with fair use, is that it is just a current minefield. It is a legal minefield. And a lot of people think it's a joke. They're like, oh, ha, ha, ha. But I've told a couple of YouTubers, bigger YouTubers, that we are going to fondly remember the day of copyright takedowns. There is going to be a point in time when we remember YouTube copyright takedowns, and we wish that was how everything still was. And you're sitting there, and you're thinking, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? Well, because the reason is because remember, DMCA, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, protects who? Who does the DMCA protect? Doesn't protect me as a content creator. Oh, hell no. It protects the internet service providers. It protects the platforms. It protects YouTube. It protects Facebook. It protects Twitter. It protects Verizon. It protects Comcast. It protects a whole bunch of people that don't have the name Eli or Boogie or Vlogbrothers or anything like that. And that's what the DMCA is, right? And so So the issue with a lot of this fair use and copyright stuff is this kind of thing is going to be going to court more and more. And you already see that, crap, I forget the name of the guy. There's actually a YouTuber right now being dragged to court over this. One channel is literally suing, not copyright striking, suing another channel over like 14 clips. They've already been to court once. The first time they went to court, I think it was over 17 clips. The person that was being sued won, and now they're going back to court again. And now you might be sitting there and you're like, well, Eli, the guy who got sued won. So we're all good for fair use. But the thing that you have to remember is, one, he must have not won too well because they're going back to court, right? You know, if it was a resounding victory, they wouldn't be going back to court over something else. So one, didn't win it well enough that can be put to bed. And two, remember, anytime you bring in lawyers, you all lose, right? Lawyers cost, what, $350 an hour? If you're gonna go through even a relatively small case, 40 hours, right? So $15,000 to prove that you're in the right. Again, this is one of those things that people don't think about. And so, when it comes to something like fair use and all this, since it is a minefield, since it's a mess, as I tell you guys, I would say you should stay as far away from fair use as possible. Stay as far away from fair use as possible. Use your own content. And why this kind of got brought up is there's a lot of people, you know, complaining about my thing with not supporting the whole where's the fair use. And I left a comment for somebody who was leaving one, left a comment, I replied. And one of the things that I was saying is that when I did that video, it was supposed to be for my subscribers, not for the YouTube in general. And that one of the big arguments that people say, so a lot of people leaving the really snarky, mean comments on that particular video, they say, the reason you don't care about where's the fair use is because it doesn't affect you. You don't have videos that are likely to get struck for fair use violations. And therefore, since you don't have videos that are likely to get struck by fair use violations, then it doesn't really matter to you at all, so you should shut up. But that's why I left the comment back, the reply back, as I was saying, that's kind of sort of the point, right? That's kind of sort of the point that I'm trying to get across to everybody, is since that I'm being very pragmatic. No, I don't have videos, 6.5 years of videos, and there is almost nothing in there that can be complained, can be hit for fair use. So something that, you know, the thing that you have to think about is, do you want to argue, do you want to scream, do you want to fight, do you want to possibly go over to court over something like fair use? Or do you want to look at a library of almost 2,000 videos and really know that there's no issues there at all? Right? Like for me, like this whole copyright question, I mean, it did come up in the past. And so I've actually had, four copyright strikes in 6.5 years being on YouTube. 2,000 videos, 4 copyright strikes. So the first copyright strike, the first one I had, that was basically completely false. So 3-4 years ago probably, somebody claimed like music on my video. And here's the thing, I know I don't have music on my videos. So I knew there was no issue whatsoever, right? They claimed some music track. Here's the thing, since I know all of my content, since I create all of my content, I know there's no random music tracks in it, right? So if you're using somebody else's clip, do you really know exactly what the audio file is? Now you may think you know what the audio file is, but maybe there's some really low music in the background you don't hear, maybe there's something else. But the thing is, like for me, I know what I create, so therefore I knew there was no audio clip. And so as I say, that's when I sent them a message. I sent the message through the YouTube's thing saying, please give me all of their information so I can forward it to my lawyer and sue the shit out of them. And then like 24 hours later, it was released. So that was one, right? And so think about this. So I don't worry about fair use. I don't get into this whole fair use issue. And so that goes through. Don't have to worry about that. Then the next one goes through, and this is the thing, and this is where, you know, the whole issue, it comes up with a lot of these YouTube content creators. So I was doing my daily blogs at the time, and Amazon came out with with their drones. So this was, again, like 2 years ago for this. The initial conversation about Amazon drones was about 2 years ago. And so I was doing a two-hour video, and I still remember making the decision. And it was like, should I show my viewers this Amazon video. And I showed it all the way through. But before I did, I knew in my head that there was a possibility that Amazon could try to strike it for copyright infringement. And so that was one of the things that I was thinking. Now for me, what I was thinking is, yes, they can probably strike me or grab my revenue for copyright infringement. On the other hand, basically I'm doing advertising for Amazon. And therefore, I made the bet, right? I made the bet once. I made the bet. I was like, okay, I'm gonna show this video. And then 2 days later, it gets flagged. Amazon takes all the revenue. Now here's the thing, I can argue about this, I can scream about this, I can bitch about this, I can moan about this, I can keep using other people's videos, or I can just not use any other people's stuff, right? And so that's the one time that I really did use somebody else's content in any kind of way where it could be flagged, and it was flagged, and I learned my lesson. Right. The next time I got flagged by Microsoft. That was during that whole Microsoft thing, and that was a colossal screw up. But that was Microsoft's issue. And then after that, somebody decided to try to flag that "Where's the Fair Use" video, and that just went off into nowhere. I got a email about it, contacted my partner manager, and legal department dealt with it. But the issue is like, if you look at that, you know, if you look at some of these channels and they're talking about all of their fair use issues, I mean, they show pages and pages and pages and pages of complaints, of strikes, of notices, of all this kind of stuff. And now I'm sitting here telling you, like I say, almost 2,000 videos, 6.5 years, a whole crap ton of content that I've put up, hours and hours and hours, and the entire time I've gotten 4. And they've all been dealt with very reasonably. And so one of the things I want you guys to be thinking about, again, is this whole idea of simply being pragmatic. And it doesn't seem like people want to be pragmatic anymore. Everybody wants to be right. They want to be right. I want to be right, Eli. It's not about being pragmatic, it's about being right. We have to fight this war about fair use, or we have to fight this war about whatever. And one of the questions you have to ask yourself is, can you win this war? Is this a winnable fight, or is this just going to be a complete mess for a long time, right? I don't think this whole fair use issue is going to be dealt with for another decade. Again, not being snarky here, not being whatever, pessimistic or anything like that. But if you look at a lot of the fair use stuff, there's just a whole bunch of issues going on. I mean, even if you look at things like piracy for video and music and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that's barely been put to bed now after 15, 20 years, right? So if you look at it for this kind of like fair use complaint and all that kind of stuff with YouTube, I would argue it's only going to get worse, And so the question that you have to ask yourself is, do you really want to deal with that? Is this really the fight that you want to be getting involved with? Because I see so many people that really, they're not going to win the fight. They're not going to be able to have the legal, the money for legal teams and all that. But they're getting in this like, but we've got to fight the fight. And you're like, you spend the exact same amount of time, you spend the exact same amount of energy, you talk about ideas versus talking about brands, you can come up with a really good channel and you don't have to worry about copyright. Again, like, everybody has this idea now that you have to deal with copyright, other people's intellectual property. And I've gotten emails from people that said this, Eli, but if I don't talk about somebody else's brand or intellectual property, how will I be successful? And again, it makes me lose my mind, because it's like, well, I'm successful, I make a good chunk of money. The Vlog Brothers don't use other people's intellectual property. Ryan Higa, last time I saw, he had 10 million subscribers. He really doesn't use much of anybody's intellectual property. Mystical Morning, they're like a daily talk show. They're actually pretty good. The Beard Guy and all that kind of stuff. They basically don't really deal much with anybody else's intellectual property, and they're all big and huge. Like, there's this idea, that you have to use other people's intellectual property. Again, what's even worse now with this whole fair use thing is that it actually seems like there's starting to be more reaction videos. I'm starting to see channels that used to never do reaction videos now go to like 100% reaction videos. And you're just like, oh my golly, right? Like, what is this about everybody getting on board? And so that's what I want you guys to be thinking about, is, do you want to build something where professionals in the field are telling you it's a minefield. Right, again, Eli the computer guy, looking at fair use, one way or the other, it's gonna be a decade before this is fairly dealt with. And so you're gonna go there, let's say you wanna create a YouTube channel, you wanna create all this content, you wanna create a brand name, you wanna create all this stuff. Do you wanna spend a decade worried that you're gonna get sued because you're using somebody else's stuff? Again, like I said, that one YouTuber is actually like going to court like in a couple of days over this. Or do you want to create content that, that you're just not gonna have to worry about? Okay, maybe it's not as popular to begin with, but you know when it's up, you're good. You know when you get a copyright strike from YouTube that you can threaten to sue the ever-loving shit out of the jackass because you know it's solid. You know you're in the right. Versus like all these people that are losing their minds because really, honestly, they know they're not in the right. Again, whatever fair use is, it's not what most of these schmucks are actually doing, right? And so I'm talking about this, and you're like, okay, well, this is nice. You know, I like hearing Eli. I like looking at these nice little forest shots. Let me give you another forest shot. Isn't this very nice? This is the forest I'm in. The bramble bushes and all that kind of stuff. Look at that. Look at that. That's the mud I just came through. And so, okay. And so you're sitting there and you're thinking, okay, well, you know, I like to hear Eli talk about you know, this stuff. I like to hear Eli talk about this stuff, and I like to see him walking through the woods. But you know, really, okay, fine, fuck YouTube. Yeah, Eli, I get the point of YouTube. But you know, we're not all in YouTube. So I wish you would just shut up about YouTube. But here's the thing. Again, what I tell all of you guys, what I tell you guys again and again and again, is that business is business. Business is business. No matter what you do, whether you do a computer repair shop, whether you do YouTube videos, whether you sell drugs and prostitutes, business is still business, right? And so when I'm talking about this thing about pragmatism, right now I'm using the topical example for me with this YouTube thing, but this comes up for you guys in many other ways. So like one of the things that I've seen is, especially like in the technology world, like in Baltimore, right? So Baltimore City is screwed. Baltimore City is just screwed 9 ways from Sunday. Services don't work properly. Education is crap. Crime rate, I mean, like last year after everybody lost their mind because the police killed Freddie Gray, the local population decided, hey, if the police can do it, we can do it better. Like we had the worst murder rate across the board since like 1990. Right, Baltimore has a lot of issues. And so here's one of the problems though. Let's say you're a young kid. Let's say you're a young black kid in Baltimore, and holy crap, you're smart. Because, you know, imagine you're an actual human being, and, you know, since you're a human being, you're actually really intelligent. You know, you've got a lot of motivation, you got a lot of book smarts, you've got a lot of the stuff that you need to be successful. Now here's the thing, you look around, and you look in Baltimore, and what are your options? Especially if you come from the wrong neighborhood, it ain't great. Royal Farms, right? You know, Royal Farms, warehouses, maybe some crap work somewhere. Because the reality is the city, people that pay good money in the city aren't gonna look at you very well. It's just kind of how it is, right? And so one of the things I tell a lot of people, and that's one of the things I say with Baltimore, is that a lot of kids need to leave Baltimore. Again, if you leave Baltimore and you go somewhere else and you're intelligent and you're motivated, you can start a new life, you can get some stuff under your belt, and then you can come back. Once you've made your money, once you become successful, you can come back. But the issue is, because that's a pragmatic thing, right? Because I don't care, I mean, you're smart, you're great, but you're in Baltimore. I mean, the infrastructure of Baltimore is just failing on just so many fronts. It's not even funny. And so the thing is, so you can either be pragmatic and you can go out, you can go somewhere else. You can go to Washington, D.C., you can go to Atlanta, you go to Los Angeles, I don't know, you go to Mozambique for all I care. But you can go somewhere else where there are opportunities. And, you know, there are things going on. Texas, and it's a little shaky right now because of all the oil stuff. But until very recently, Texas was just booming because of the oil boom, or North Dakota was huge. I mean, people were making like 13, 14 bucks an hour at McDonald's just because they needed people to work there, right? So you go to one of these places where they really need people, and when they really need people, guess what? They overlook a lot of stuff. And so you go there, they overlook a lot of stuff, you're able to move up in the ranks, you're able to become impressive, then you get to come back when you actually have resources, when you're actually good with something, right? The problem that I see with Baltimore, though, is there's this whole issue where they're so, and it's not African Americans, it's the whole fucking, everybody. It's what I lost my mind about with the startup world, is that everybody is so tribal. It's like anything that's not Baltimore is foreign. If you leave Baltimore, you have rejected us and you have gone to somewhere else. You are a traitor. And so the problem is you take the kid, and here's the thing, right? You can either stay in Baltimore and help improve the city, and basically you're gonna get smacked in the nuts for the next couple of decades, right? Because that's just how I mean, just like, it's just Baltimore just sucks in a lot of ways, right? So the problem you get into is a lot of people have this idea like that they should do the quote-unquote right thing. So they go and they do the right thing, and then they never understand why they can't be successful. When the people that are pragmatic, when they look around and they go, okay, well, I'm supposed to stay here and build this city, but there ain't jobs for people like me. There aren't opportunities for people like me. So what the hell am I really supposed to do? And so they go. And again, so that's one of the questions, is where do you want to be? What do you want your life to look like? So many people are fighting these arguments about how things could be, how they imagine things could be, how they imagine things should be, when it just doesn't have anything to do with reality. Again, like I say, with Baltimore, I mean, property taxes 2.25%, and they're not doing anything about that. I mean, that's huge. And so this is something that you have to be thinking about, like with your career and going ahead and what you're going to be doing. Are you being fanciful? Are you being wishful? Or are you being pragmatic? Again, a lot of people want to get into the IT world. They want to go, they're like, Eli, I've liked technology since I was a kid. And again, I've done 200 Skype meetings at this point. So I say, Eli, I've liked technology since I was a kid. I want to do computer repair. I sit there and I talk with them. It's like, why do you want to do computer repair? There's nothing in it anymore. Before, because of a fluke, there used to actually be a decent money, there used to be a decent career field in it. But now, basically all you're doing is riding out to obsolescence. So I know you have this wishful idea about, I want to do computer repair and whatever the hell you think that means, but the reality is what do people actually need? People actually need programmers. People actually need, this whole Internet of Things, building Arduino devices and Raspberry Pi devices and all this system on a chip crap, right? That's what they need. And so the thing is are you focused on wishful thinking? Are you focused on what you want? Or are you focused on what the world actually needs, the pragmatic thing? I told the story before about the, hold on a second. Look at that, isn't that nice? See? This is all the different types of forest I get to walk through on my little trip. This is what I'm looking at every day, and you guys couldn't properly see it before. But anyways, I talk about the woman that I knew who had backpacked through Europe and done all this great stuff, and then when I met her, she was a chemical engineer, so we were doing scuba diving training. She was a chemical engineer at a paper plant of all things. And she's talking about all these weird stories, all these really cool, awesome stories. It's like, how do you go from those really cool, awesome stories to being a chemical engineer at a paper plant? And she said, well, what I did was after I went traveling through Europe, I got accepted at a good college, went into the career advisor for the college and said, I want a job that gives me respect. I'm a woman, so I don't want to deal with this woman crap. So I want a job that gives me respect. I want a job that gives me good money. I want a job where, I have flexibility and all this kind of stuff. And basically, the career advisor said, well, that's a chemical engineer. And so she went, great. And she went off and she studied to be a chemical engineer. And she was quite happy being a chemical engineer. Important thing here, she was quite happy being a chemical engineer because the chemical engineer gave her all the things that she wanted, all the things that she very specifically wanted. And the funny thing is, I've actually gotten flack from some of the viewers talking about that story, where they talk about how horrible that is. I can't believe, she must be a miserable person to work for, because she went in there and she just took the job that they told her to go for. And it's just like, I just want to lose my mind sometimes, because again, I don't think a lot of you folks like really understand what work is about, right? Like what business is about, right? Now, don't get me wrong. You can have a business, or you can have a hobby, or you can have a nonprofit, right? And so if you're doing a hobby, do whatever the hell you want. Live your passion, right? If you're doing a nonprofit, then you need to go out and you need to do something that the world needs, whether or not they're willing to pay for it. If you're doing a business, right? If you're in it for, paying the mortgage, you need to do something that the world needs and the world is willing to pay for. Because again, at the end of the day, you gotta pay your mortgage somehow. And so that's one of the funny things. It's like some people, they hear that story about the woman with being the chemical engineer, and it's so funny how they just beat up on the idea. And it's like, I don't understand you folks. I don't. What do you think passion is? Right? At the end of the day, we all wake up and when we do the job in front of us. Again, it's funny. I was doing one of these Skype meetings a couple weeks ago. And one of the people was asking me about my passion for technology. Eli, how can I be so passionate for technology like you are? Were you doing this stuff as a kid? Was this something that, you knew when you were 12 years old that you were going to do? And it was so funny to look at the person's face as I said, no, this is definitely not, absolutely not what I thought I was going to do. We're not even going to go into YouTube videos. We're just going to go into the technical thing. Like, being a technology professional was not my plan. It was not. If you look at my plan up until probably about the time I really met my wife, this wasn't the plan. Being a computer guru, or what the hell I am now, was absolutely and utterly not the plan. What I really liked, what I really had that passion for and all that, was all the emergency services stuff. Right? Rappelling and scuba diving and that kind of thing. But the issue is one, I went out in the world, and just because of the time frame when I graduated college, I randomly, like when I went through my MCSE training, that wasn't a plan for a job. That wasn't a plan for a career. That was a plan for brownie points in order to get into an agency. It really was. And then when I got out, I just happened to get this job for this regional support engineer position, where, like I say, I got flown all over the country and could do all this wacky stuff. And it's one of those things that one thing led to another, and I kind of happened to be here now. It wasn't some like internal passion. It was, I wound up in this career for a couple of weird reasons. I wound up in this career at the right, perfect time for somebody like me to wind up in this career. The benefits and all that were pretty good. And then at a certain point in time, I realized, wow, look, I guess I'm an IT professional now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, again, you go, and if you're going to start a business, you look at all the resources you have. And your resources you have are things like money, plus it's your knowledge, plus it's your Rolodex, plus it's all this stuff. So, every time I kept thinking about what I would do next, and I would put everything on the table, it all just added up to being a tech professional. It's not passion. Passion. Passion's for idiots. Passion is the stupidest. Passion is the lie. Here's the thing. Passion is the lie that you are sold so that college recruiters can get their commission. Right? Because here's the thing. If you look at colleges right now, they're stupidly expensive. No matter where you go, they're stupidly expensive. So if you go to a college and it's stupidly expensive, and the program that you should go into is difficult. So you go to a college, it's stupidly expensive, and they tell you, for somebody like you to be successful, you need to go to the medical program. So you need to spend 6 years in school. It's going to be really, really, really hard. Well, then you're going to sit there and be like, wow, okay, so I'm going to spend all this money, and it's going to be really hard. oh, I gotta think about that. Is that something that I really want to do? Right? And so every time anybody thinks about a sale, thinks about buying, it's over, right? You know, a huge portion are just never gonna come back. If somebody says, I'm gonna think about it, and they leave the showroom, which means a college, most of them aren't gonna come back. Only 10% are gonna come back. So, what these college recruiters think is, woo, let's see, what are you passionate about? Are you passionate about basket weaving? Are you passionate about English? Are you passionate about computer repair? And then you go, yeah. And they say, well, we have a college program for you. And then so you can follow your passion, and it'll only cost you the stupid amount of money. And you go, wow, I can get a job with what I'm passionate about? And they say, yeah. Say, great, let me sign those loans. And then you sign the loans, and the college recruiters get their commission, and the dean gets their new car, and all this stuff happens, and you go through school, and it's 4 or 5 or 6 years later when you realize nobody cares about that degree you have. Nobody cares. You got sold a bunch of crap, right? And the thing is because nobody wants to pay for your passion. People want to pay you to do the work that needs to be done. And they pay based on how valuable it's considered for the rest of society and how many of you schmucks they can find. The fewer people that they can find, the more expensive you're going to be, the more your income is going to be. And so there's this whole idea with passion. And the worst part is, like I say, is that everybody's been sold a bill of goods and they don't even realize it. They're not even willing to understand they've been sold a lie. Instead of accepting that they've been sold a lie, instead of dealing with the fact that a massive amount of legal fraud has occurred, they buy into the story, right? You know, if somebody lies to me, if somebody defrauds me, there's two ways that this can be handled, right? There's 2 ways that this can be handled. Now, if you're Eli, with how I work, it can be handled very not nice. Very not nice, all right? It's not going to be nice, right? Because you motherfucking defrauded me. You stole my money. We're going to teach you that that's just a bad thing to do, right? But that's the thing, right? Most people don't want to deal with it because most people don't want to feel like they could be lied to. They don't want the loss of respect. They don't want to see that loss of image that somebody lied to them. So instead of accepting that somebody lied to them, instead of accepting that they've been defrauded, instead of accepting that they've been stolen from, what they do is they just start towing the jackass's line. They start towing the rapist's line. Right? So if you have a woman, right? Think about this with a woman. You have a woman, goes out on a date with somebody, thinks the person's nice. The person gets her drunk, gives her a couple of drugs or whatever, and then rapes her. Just balls out, takes her back to her place or whatever, and fucking rapes her, right? And so what can the woman do? What can the woman do? The woman can go, oh my God, I got raped. What am I going to do now? I have been violated. How will I deal with this? Or the woman can say, well, you know, I kind of thought the guy was pretty cute. Well, you know, I was probably gonna sleep with him in the next couple of dates anyway, right? So you can either accept what's happened to you and then deal with it, or you can start to give excuses and you can start to realize, you come up with these reasons why, well, it's really okay what was done. It wasn't really that guy's fault. I did wear a low-cut dress or whatever else, right? And then it's not rape, then it's just sex. And so again, you start thinking about this and then it gets into this whole, political correctness and social justice warrior crap and all that. And it's not. What I'm saying is you guys are going out there, you're getting these college degrees and this stuff and really stupid things because you've been sold a line of crap that you should get educated in what you're passionate about. And so instead of accepting that that's a load of crap and now you need to figure out what you really need to do in life, you're internalizing it. I really wanted that college advisor to bend me over the table and shove that ruler up my ass. That, you know, when I walked in to see my college advisor, I really want to be anally violated. That's, you know, isn't that what's supposed to happen, right? And that's where it's just like, oh my golly. And so I hope some of you guys just start looking at the world and start being a little bit more pragmatic about how all this stuff works. Because at the end of the day, business is business. All of this stuff works the same. And all the wishful thinking in the world doesn't keep the tidal wave of standard business practice at bay. Right, you know, that's why I've been saying that. That's been like my buzzwords for YouTube for like the past couple of weeks now. The tidal wave of standard business practice. Standard business practice always wins. Standard business practice always wins. You can fight standard business practice for a little while, but at the end of the day, that tidal wave is gonna come, and anybody in the way of that tidal wave is gonna get washed over. It's like that tidal wave coming, right? You got a tidal wave. You got a 40-foot tidal wave coming. And the thing, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna build walls? Are you gonna pray to gods, pray to Spaghetti Monster? Or are you gonna climb up the mountain that's like 1,000 foot tall? And then go, ooh, isn't that pretty, as it breaks across the bottom, right? And a lot of people, they're doing everything else, then, maybe I should just move. You know, if I move a few steps to the left or the right, or, you know, I just walk up this mountain, you know, everything is gonna be fine. That would be my thing. Yeah, this whole pragmatism thing, it's so hard. Because again, I don't think it's quite millennials. I think millennials get blamed for a lot of things simply because they are the young people in this particular time frame. But it is something like, it's one of the mindsets that seems to have followed this generation. That's just such a load of horse crap. It's kind of like the old thing, like when I was young, they were trying to teach us how to think outside the box. That was the big idea. Think outside the box, think outside the box. Which is a fine idea. So the problem was, back in the 90s, you know, so much of the employment up until that point had been unionized factory type labor, where people basically just did what they were told, right? You go and do this 40 hours a week. You get paid. Every year you get a 5% raise, and that's what you do until you retire. The problem was those jobs were going away. You know, the factory jobs are going away, the mining jobs are going away, all these unionized jobs are going away. And the jobs of the modern world required people to think outside the box. So they were hammering the crap out of us about thinking outside the box. And that was a good thing. That was a good thing. We need to think outside the box. But the problem is just like everything goes too far. Everything goes too, and so you deal with the generation nowadays. And the problem is, instead of thinking outside the box, or instead of telling them you have to think outside the box, you now actually have to tell them to start thinking inside the box. They're like so far, they're in like orbit of the box at this point. Like we were just told, okay, open up the box a little bit, peek out, see what's out there. These people are like astronauts in orbit around the box. And the problem is with that, is again this whole issue like with a hacking mentality. I'm gonna hack my way to success. When again, an idea is a very small component of success. Who you are and all that's a very small component of success. No matter what you do, it's the grind. It's work, right? Again, you find the most high value thing you can do, which you relatively enjoy doing. And that's how you become successful. But you got to go out there and work. Like Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg worked his ass off. I've actually read, the stuff about him working. He worked. Whether or not he's worth $100 billion, that's a question for somebody else. But he worked, right? But there's this whole idea, the way he became successful is like hacking and all that kind of stuff. And that's the issue that we're getting into, is there like this mentality anymore. And again, like, you should go for what you relatively enjoy. You should go for what's easy for you. So like for me, it is very easy for me to sit here and talk into a camera for hours on end. And so I can make money off of this, and therefore I do it. Is it necessarily my passion? I don't know. It depends on the day, really. It really depends on the day. But it's something that I can easily do, right? And that's something to be thinking about. Is like everybody says, oh, what is my passion? And it's like, but what's gonna get you paid? What's gonna be pay the mortgage? What's gonna pay for the baby formula, right? Day in, day out. Are you basing your entire life plan on wishful thinking? You know, just because you wanted to be something, you know, is that what you're basing everything on? Or are you basing it on how the world actually is? That's a question for you. As I say, all this pragmatic stuff. Again, I'm trying to tell people about fair use. I'm screaming from the damn mountaintops over fair use. And I'm getting beat down by all these idiots. And the worst part is they don't even know they don't even know how fucking stupid they are. It's so funny. They're all like, oh, Eli, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like, yes, I fucking do. I actually really do. Like, I don't go batshit unless I know what I'm talking about. Again, I say with this whole Aspie thing, I have to be careful about what I argue about. Because I don't intuit. Intuit is nonverbal communication that most people have. And so when you have nonverbal communication, it's a lot easier to not go over the line. You know, like people with nonverbal communication, if they're starting to get into an argument with people, they can, non-verbally, they realize that things are about to go bad, and then they can pull back. Like somebody like me, it just doesn't exist. That whole intuition sounds like fucking magic to me. And again, I know a lot of people are like, oh, Eli, no, screw you. I've lived in this body for 40 years. Intuition is just magic to me. And so that's the thing. It's like, I don't get batshit self-righteous on things I would not bet 50K on. You know, if I'm not willing to put 50K on the table and say, I bet that on this, then I don't. I say, like, you know, do whatever you're gonna do. Again, if you deal with me in the real world, you'll notice a lot of times I put up my hands, I say, you know what, I disagree with you, but I don't really have a good enough argument to tell you, to like really scream at you about it. So I'm telling you, I'm concerned about what you're doing, but you know, hey, if you wanna do it. This whole fair use thing, I am going fucking batshit over, because it's just so fucking stupid. All of these people are complete idiots when it comes to fair use, and they don't even realize the liability issues that they could be running into. Again, they still think YouTube copyright strike is the worst thing that can happen to them. They're still worried about fucking YouTube copyright. They're not even thinking about lawsuits. Again, and you're all sitting there like, oh, Eli, lawsuits, ha 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 ha. How funny would patent trolls have seemed back in, let's say, 2000? So patent trolls are these people that buy patents, and then they go out and they sue companies for using the patent illegally, right? So there's a lot of companies out there that create patents because they're trying to develop a product, and then basically they go bankrupt. So they created patents for a product. Product didn't work in market. Product functioned, but it didn't sell. So the company goes bankrupt. When they're going through the bankruptcy proceedings, they then have intellectual property. They have those patents. Patents are something that are saleable, just like a building or a truck or a computer. They can be sold too. So those individual patents get sold individually. And so you have these patent troll companies that then buy up all these patents. So that they own them, and then once they own that intellectual property, they can go and they can start suing people that have used that intellectual property, right? And so if you have thought about that again 10, 15 years ago, yes, there was always been some kind of patent litigation, but patent trolls as they are now would have seemed ridiculous. Well, think about this. Think about this. All you little WTFU jackasses out there. YouTube content creators are no longer children. They're no longer people that don't make any money at all. They can actually make a lot of money. Again, if you go and you look at, was it Social Blade, and you put in I hate everything, it says I hate everything, makes anywhere between $49,000 to like $889,000 per year. So if you think of YouTube content creators as basically broke people doing videos in their basement, then the only person that people with intellectual property can sue is Google, it is YouTube, because YouTube is worth billions of dollars. you start to get enough people that go to Social Blade and they look at I Hate Everything, and they look at Nostalgia Critic, and they look at the Fine Brothers, and you look at all these other companies, and you start seeing those numbers. Again, whether or not those numbers are technically correct, it starts giving lawyers the idea that, hey, guess what? Content creators are really fucking juicy targets. They're really juicy targets that probably have no legal representation on their own, right? And so basically they start to be people that lawyers are interested in going after. Now here's the interesting thing. None of these schmucks are even thinking about. This is where Eli thinks, right? Okay, so if we think about patent trolls, patent trolls go out there, they buy other people's patents, they then own that so that they can go start suing people. So here's my question for you. One, we've already started to see where individual content creators are starting to get sued by other content creators over issues. So here's one of my questions. If I create all of my Eli the Computer Guy videos, right? I create all of my Eli the Computer Guy videos, and since I own it all, it's all copyrighted. So as soon as I create a product, it's copyrighted. Plus, for somebody like me, I actually have the Eli the Computer Guy trademark. My happy, smiley computer face is actually it's actually copyrighted in the Copyright Office. We sent off. It took like 2 years to get that thing back, but like it's all completely legit intellectual property. Now, so what happens if, let's say, a year or two from now, I'm like, you know what, screw this. I really hate all these subscribers. I hate all these whiny people. I don't want to get hugged anymore. I'm going to sell Eli the Computer Guy as a product. I'm going to sell the smiley computer face. I'm going to sell the trademark. I'm going to sell all of my content to a third party. Once I transfer all that intellectual property to the third party, that third party now owns all of that intellectual property. Now, what if a lot of schmucks out there have decided they're going to start doing reaction videos or whatever else based off of my intellectual property? Guess what? That third party now has the ability to go and start suing these jackasses. And again, Eli the Computer Guy, my stuff, thankfully doesn't get reaction. Again, the only people who do a reaction video about me were those drunken peasants, and they called me a fart bubble. But you think about these other people. Let's say like Grade A. So I know I've been all fangirlish over Grade A, but hey, I like Grade A stuff. But I've told Grade A, I honestly believe his content is good enough that at some point he can get a Comedy Channel TV show. So what if he grows? What if he grows it? It's really funny, it's really good, but he doesn't really want to push it forward as a business. So he sells it to somebody else. He sells it to some kind of media company that's going to make it bigger, right? They keep him on for the voice and all that kind of stuff, but they pay him $20 million outright. They buy it from him. Well, guess what? Then Jinx or Tyro Magnus or any of these people that have done reaction videos based on that content, they now don't have to worry about a content creator trying to go after them. They now have to worry about a media company that was willing to put $20 million on the table to buy that intellectual property going after them. Does that sound much different than a patent troll? Do you believe content creators are any more protected than all those technology companies that have been sued? Right? And everybody's like, oh, Eli, you're a dumbass. Yeah, motherfucker. Anyways, I see the battery on this is getting very low. And I've been talking to you guys for about 1 hour and 7 minutes already. So hopefully this has turned out to be a very good video. The sound and all that has been good quality. Because if not, then I've just been talking to a stick for 1 hour. No, not sure that would be any worse. But anyways, that was my thoughts for today. Think about pragmatism. Think about the real world. Stop thinking about you want, what you believe, how it should be, and start thinking about how the world is. Because at the end of the day, the world always wins. You know what I'm saying? Standard business practice always wins. And with that, I'll give you a final view of the forest.